Hello, my name is Tyree Goss, and I am here to tell you about how churches incorrectly teach about sex. Did you know that 13% of American teenagers are having sex? That's 7,017,413. And a large amount of that 7 million are professed Christians. Now, as fellow Christians, we are supposed to be alarmed and personally affected by these numbers. Now, some people think that there's nothing that can be done about this. Churches are already teaching the message of abstinence. What more can be done? Well, actually, there is a proper way and an improper way to teach about abstinence, and so many people have fallen into the trap of being taught abstinence incorrectly. I can tell you about this because I have been taught the proper perspective of sex, and I have seen firsthand what ignorance has done to others. Many churches have a misconception of sex and are teaching their twisted views to other ignorant believers. We as knowledgeable believers are to spread the knowledge and to help people who don't know. For the rest of my time with you, I'm going to show you the corrupted view of sex. Then I'm going to explain the way God views sex, and then I'm going to explain how telling people the truth can help save souls. Churches have an unhealthy view of sex. Sex is sometimes discarded and avoided in churches. For example, the American and European Catholic churches strongly disagree on the limit of sexual activities for their men of God. However, instead of trying to work so that they can be on one accord, they simply decide to ignore it. Other churches fall into the trap of withholding information from their congregations or harshly giving it out. Galatians 10 says that we should be good to everyone, but especially those in the household of faith. Professional psychologist Richard Dobson says that many people leave the church between ages 12 and 20 because of the way that churches handle sins. Now, I'm not saying that we are supposed to encourage sins in church, but I am saying that we are never supposed to judge, like it says in Matthew 7, verse 1. We are supposed to love people and help them not to sin anymore. Many branches of Christianity condemn sex as if it is a sin. However, we need to acknowledge that it is something beautiful and created by God. Sex is beautiful in the sight of God, and it is nowhere near bad. The University of California, in their book, Sex in the Church, has a whole chapter dedicated to how sex is a gift for marriage, and that brings love and family. God himself even gives us the command in Genesis 9:7 that says, "Be fruitful and multiply." And the book in the Bible, Songs of Solomon, is dedicated to the love of newlyweds. In the book, it poetically depicts how love when you are married no longer has any boundaries, and that is a beautiful thing in the sight of God. Jesus even uses the metaphor of a groom and a bridegroom that says how we are supposed to return to him in purity when he comes for us. Although sex is a good thing, it does not change the fact that premarital sex is a sin. However, informing people that sex is something that should be talked about can lower the amounts of sexual sin in the world. Professional Richard Dobson also says that parents are the ones that should teach their children about sex. However, he also says that it is easier to follow a rule when you understand it. Unfortunately, many parents nowadays don't understand why not to have sex enough to explain it to their children. They have been told not to do it and not to do it for so long without actually understanding why. And although this might have worked for them, there is no way that it is going to work for the average American teenager. Because sex is so engrossed in mainstream society that it is normal for an average teenager to come in contact with the subject of sex at least 3 times a week, at the least. Teens are need to be educated. There is a way that teenagers can stay away from sexual sin without being properly educated, but it is our job as the church to try to help and educate these children because their parents cannot. To summarize, the church is not doing their job by teaching their children. They deem sex as something inappropriate and evil instead of something that should be talked about and should be looked upon as a gift. We need to not just teach our children not to have sex. We need to teach them why. We need to teach them that sex is a commitment and a connection that can only survive within a marriage. We need to teach them that sex is dangerous with multiple people and that it is used only for one man and one woman. I charge you today, church, to not allow another child to slip through our fingers, but we must change the world for the kingdom and speak the knowledge of Christ. Thank you.